Yes, now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Subway Surfers. This is my one-man podcast, essentially. I record some gameplay of me playing Subway Surfers, and I just vent about life or a certain topic that I feel like I need to talk about, or just update you on whatever, There's only so much I can talk about as a single person, given that this isn't a proper, legitimate podcast, but you are more than welcome to treat it as such while you are entertained by this horrific gameplay of Subway Surfers. But in today's topic, I thought I would talk about my fitness journey, right? And if you know me personally, or if you've seen the channel for a while, it's no secret at one point in my life, going to the gym was a massive thing. So, I'm going to give the backstory. As a kid, I was probably chubbier than most of my siblings. I was never really like a fat kid, right? I wasn't. I was quite average. But I grew up around a lot of skinny people. And I was quite chunky, Became somewhat of an insecurity. Like, even my friends were skinny, and I wasn't. Do you know what I mean? And everyone was sporty, and I wasn't. And I had no interest in being sporty, because the only sport I was ever into was WWE. When I grew up later on in my teens, I got into boxing, but that's a whole new story, right? So, when I was about 12, 13, when I was in high school, right, and COVID had been a thing, and you'd had enough time to reflect and be in a shell and just become a completely different person. Like, I was probably the best and worst age to be at during COVID times. The best because I'd just gotten into high school and I was ready to be lazy and enjoy life, and I got a full year and a half to do that. But it was also such a transitional age that my body and my mind was all changing. So without being able to go out and socialise like that, I became a completely different gremlin to what I was when I was a kid. So I decided to make a change in my body insecurities, and I started exercising in my bedroom. I did push-ups, I did sit-ups, I did squats. I'd start with 20, and eventually one day I was reaching like 100. Not obviously all in one go, but by the end of it I would have done like 100 of each day. And it got to my 13th birthday, so it would have been when I was 12. It got to my 13th birthday. No, it wasn't actually. It could have been when I was 13, because it got to my 14th birthday, and my dad, for my birthday, got me a gym membership. So I joined the gym when I was 14, and this is where I really took off, because I'd already got myself in a decent shape just off of push-ups and bedroom workouts. So I started going to the gym, and I got absolutely jacked. For 14, I was humongous. I was living life, because I didn't have a stomach, so I was kind of ripped, but also like I could eat what I want and just put on muscle and just look absolutely amazing. Like it was on another level. Now, when I got to about 15, 16, I got towards the later end of high school. I'd been through all my adolescence, and now life was starting to just pile up a bit, I had way more ambitions. I wanted to start doing YouTube. I wanted to make music at one point. I wanted to just do everything. My social life was on another level, and I'd got a girlfriend, So I just had so many other things in life to get on with. And I'd been doing gym for so long, and without any other external motivation, it got boring. So I became a lot more inconsistent. And it wasn't because I didn't want to go to the gym anymore. I loved being the gym kid. I loved having shape, but it got boring, and the motivation for it slipped. And from the age of probably 15 through till 17, I was just not motivated, and I was going inconsistently, and I'd have my weeks where I was on gym this week, and I'd have my weeks where I did nothing, so I kept my muscle mass mainly, but I really fell off the ladder. At some points I lost a lot of weight when I was 15, 16, and I became 60 kilograms, and I was just I was kind of ripped, but it was just because I wasn't eating. And then when I got to about later 16 through to 17, I got quite fat. I put on weight. I stopped going gym, and I was eating a lot, and I've become quite chunky to the point now where I'm 18, and before I was 18 I was 75 kilos. The highest I've reached, which I reached last year, was 77, 78, which is mental for me, considering 2023 I was 60 kilograms, so you're talking in 2-3 years I've went up nearly 20 kilos. Mental. So I decided to put an end to the inconsistency. I wanted to put on more muscle. I pictured myself at this age, considering the rate I was going when I was 14, I pictured myself being a lot bigger at this age. I've never really taken diet seriously. I've never really taken protein intake and any other factors outside of gym, like recovery, serious. I've just taken going to the gym and lifting serious. That's the only part I've taken serious. So I decided to kind of try and implement other factors. Now, I'm not strictly dieting because that will immediately push me back off the wagon. And I want to be able to be consistent. So I've made sure I'm just getting myself in the gym. Every now and then, when I feel up to it, I'm going to make better diet choices. I'm going to make better recovery choices. And I think I've been doing great, you know. I naturally eat better now out of choice, you know. I've learned to become accustomed to and prefer the healthier, better options for someone who goes to the gym. You know, I'm not perfect. I will still slip up and have my pizzas and have my crisps and have my fizzy drinks, you know. It's hard. I can't diet, you know. One of my main problems as a kid with being chunky was that, you know, I liked what I liked. I liked the food I liked, and I can be quite picky. And if I like something, I'm going to eat a shit ton of it. So that's my main problem. But I'm somewhat fixing that. And with going to gym consistently, I'm able to control that, because if I'm gaining a certain amount of fat, I think I'm gaining just as much in muscle mass. Obviously, it won't exactly work out the same, because it's a lot easier to put on fat than it is to put on muscle mass. And they go hand in hand, you know. You're more fat, you've got more room to fill out with muscle mass. But you're trying to lose weight, you're trying to put on muscle at the same time. Not exactly the easiest thing. But I've been going consistently, and I'm not like seeing any improvements yet, but I'm feeling the improvements. I feel better, I feel stronger. I'm just, you know, I know it's going to take time to get my figure really where I want it to be, you know. When I've been to the gym and I've got a pump on, you can see the muscle mass is there. But, you know, I've been consistent again for, you know, I had a little spell in October where I went like the whole month of October, and it was great. But really, 2026, I've started taking it serious. And I'd say I've been consistent for about 2 to 3 months now, and it's great. I think give it a couple more months, my stomach is already dying down, which is good. And that muscle will start piling on, because, you know, I am aware and I am conscious that, you know, I need to intake protein and all this other stuff. Plus, once I've finished paying for my driving lessons, which, you know, that's haunted me for the last year and a half, 2 years. I've already explained that in a previous video about my horrors of driving and how long it's taken. But once I've finished paying for them, I hope to, and you know what, I need to stop, you know, putting myself off like this. I just need to get up and go do it. But I hope to get myself into professional wrestling. I've been a professional wrestling fan most of my life, and I'm only 18, so it's, for some people it's not that long, but, you know, considering I was 9-10 years old during like 2016, 2017, I think it's fair. Yeah, and I think it's time I got involved, because I always thought I'd be minted it. You know, I've always had good ideas. I always thought, yeah, I want to be a professional wrestler. It's time. I need to put it into action. And like, because it's one of those things you need to get into young, you know. I mean, yeah, you can get into it at any age, but if you really want to make something of it, get into it young. Why not? Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to university. I've not got any career aspirations so far. So if YouTube isn't picking up yet, I might as well start doing wrestling, and maybe I can take that somewhere. Part of me wants to do boxing for the fitness and just being able to box, but I don't fancy taking boxing professionally. I don't think my mind is committed to that. If I really wanted to, I would be able to commit to that. I know I can, but simply because it's not where my passion lies. Boxing, I love boxing. I love the entertainment side of it. I love watching it, and I might like doing it one day, but for it to not be the main thing I want to do, I don't think it's smart or wise to commit myself to it. So I'm not going to commit myself to boxing. I might join it for a fitness thing and to maybe just try it out, but I think I need to focus on getting myself into a wrestling gym. But let me know what you think. If I was a wrestler, would you come watch me? Thank you for listening to this episode. Like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.